The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. One of the dopest book titles in history, am I right? And I dare say, after reading it and spending days summarizing it for you guys, that it's one of the dopest books too. Not just a cheesy title. Here's why. This book is what comes out when you mix Stoicism, existentialism, and Buddhism. One of the most popular, most read and sold books in the last 2 decades worldwide because it provides an answer to the ancient question, how to be happy. I don't know about you, but I ask myself that question every single day in different manners. And even though countless self-help books try to answer it, Mark Manson's answer is rather realistic, out of the box, and I dare say, shocking. Stick around as we delve into the book and extract the answer to How to Be Happy from Mark Manson's greatest hit. Most summaries of this book up there only focus on 2 to 3 ideas, but after reading it, I realized that every single chapter of the 9 carries gems that cannot be ignored. This is why I summarized every single chapter for you, so that by the end of this video, you absolutely won't need to read the whole book. The book kicks off with a banger. Don't try to be happy. Here's why. Manson criticizes how media and ads push us to care about everything, always wanting more: money, friends, beauty. Self-help gurus preach constant happiness, but this just highlights our lack, offering shallow fixes like affirmations or easy steps to wealth. This obsession with more and fake success harms our well-being, making us chase temporary highs and feel entitled to constant happiness, avoiding real pain and challenges. Manson advises focusing on fewer, meaningful things, rejecting society's superficial success measures. He argues that true satisfaction involves embracing pain and struggle, not avoiding them. We're trapped in a loop, feeling bad about feeling bad, but Manson suggests accepting these feelings. Not giving a fuck means valuing your own beliefs over societal pressure, simplifying life, and taking it easy on important goals. It's about being okay with not always feeling good and focusing on what truly matters. Now that we're not constantly chasing happiness, Chapter 2 explains what happiness truly is. Ready? Manson says happiness isn't a formula or reward. It comes from solving problems and facing challenges. Our biology wires us for some dissatisfaction, driving us to improve our lives. Problems are good. They lead to satisfaction. Choose good problems that improve your life. Denying problems or playing the victim blocks progress. Emotions are feedback tools, not goals. Negative emotions signal action. Positive ones reward good choices. But fixating on emotions leads to the hedonic treadmill, where we chase fleeting happiness. Happiness involves struggle. It's not about what you want, but what pain you're willing to endure for it. Your choices shape your life. Before moving ahead, the author warns us of a trap along the way. The entitlement trap, aka, you are not special. Let's go deeper. Manson argues that entitlement, fueled by cultural and social media messages, makes people miserable and unable to handle life's challenges. Entitlement manifests in 2 ways: feeling you deserve constant happiness or believing you're exceptionally great or uniquely troubled. Entitlement began in the 1960s with a focus on self-esteem, leading to unrealistic expectations. It's problematic because it hinders personal growth and learning from failure. Entitled people often feel deserving of unearned rewards and may become narcissistic, avoiding responsibility for their actions. Genuine self-esteem means acknowledging and working on your flaws. Entitlement, often rooted in trauma, leads to believing you're either completely flawed or superior, deserving special treatment. This can result in harmful behaviors justified by past trauma. Manson also criticizes technology for making us believe that being exceptional is normal, making average people feel inadequate. He stresses it's okay to be average. Most of us are. Accepting this can relieve the pressure of unrealistic expectations, allowing us to appreciate the ordinary and focus on what truly matters. Now, as we get into Chapter 4, we find the real sauce of the answer and the key to change for the better: your values. Manson emphasizes the importance of knowing your values to choose what to care about, and developing self-awareness helps you understand these values. The 3 levels of values are: 1. Identify your emotions. Acknowledge your feelings. Many people struggle with this due to emotional repression. 2. Determine why you feel certain emotions. Understand the reasons behind your emotions, which often relate to your definitions of success and failure. 3. Identify personal values. Underlying emotions. Consider how you define success and failure, as these shape your values. To understand your feelings and values, Manson advises asking hard questions about what bothers you and why, aka questioning yourself. This process reveals underlying beliefs about success and failure. To find purpose with questions. Duckworth suggests listing your goals and organizing them into a pyramid, with short-term goals at the base supporting long-term ones, culminating in your ultimate purpose. When it comes to positive versus negative values are out of your control, non-constructive or non-factual. For example, popularity, power over others. Positive values are factual, constructive, and within your control. Here are Manson's 5 beneficial values. 1. Take responsibility for everything in your life. 2. Accept uncertainty and doubt your beliefs. 3. Embrace failure and learn from mistakes. 4. Practice rejection by focusing on important things and saying no. And 5. Reflect on mortality to maintain perspective. These align with Marcus Aurelius's principles in *Meditations*, emphasizing self-responsibility, accepting limits of control, embracing logical understanding, living fearlessly, and focusing on living well. As for the issue of changing values, those can be disorienting and challenging, often leading to uncertainty and objections from others. Manson suggests embracing this uncertainty as part of the growth process. In a nutshell, values are what you find important, and standards are how you measure success or failure in upholding those values. Understanding your internal standards is key to determining if your values and standards are constructive or destructive. Getting deeper into values, Manson discusses the dilemma of choice and accountability. Here's what he had to say about it. The author explains that feeling in control is key to happiness, but it's often about perspective. Choosing our problems makes us feel empowered, while imposed problems can make us feel victimized. His solution is to always recognize your choice in how you think and behave, which empowers you in any situation. We can't help it, we're always choosing. We always have choices in how we respond to situations, even if we can't control what happens to us. Choosing not to respond is still a choice, and we're responsible for it. Responsibility versus blame. Taking responsibility gives us power and control, but it's not the same as taking blame. We're not to blame for everything, like a traumatic childhood, but we are responsible for how we respond. Blame focuses on the past, seeking to find fault. Responsibility is about the present and finding solutions. Blame is destructive, while responsibility is constructive. Tragic events are not chosen, but our responses to them are. Our choices in handling pain and tragedy define their impact on us. Manson goes on to make a great poker analogy by saying that everyone has different starting points in life, but like in poker, it's how you play the hand you're dealt that counts. Overcoming disadvantages is about the choices we make. And about the victim mentality, his thoughts are: shifting responsibility to others can create a false sense of moral righteousness. Social media amplifies this by rewarding victimhood with attention and sympathy. This cycle of outrage and victimhood can be harmful to society and democracy. Manson advises maintaining skepticism towards media, practicing healthy values, and nurturing democratic values, rather than falling into the trap of playing the victim. Next chapter carries the craziest ideas, but once I was done reading it, it made absolute sense. So here's why the author plainly says here, kill yourself. Manson advocates for embracing doubt and continuously questioning our beliefs to grow. He emphasizes that learning is a lifelong process of moving from being wrong to less wrong, rather than achieving absolute rightness. This approach involves identifying mistakes and improving upon them. Manson goes on and warns against the dangers of certainty. Believing our values and priorities are perfect can lead to dogmatism and entitlement. Accepting uncertainty allows us to be open to new information and experiences, making us less judgmental and more willing to learn. Negative certainties based on fear also limit us. Accepting uncertainty helps us to be open to both positive and negative possibilities, enhancing our confidence and comfort in various situations. Manson ends up comparing personal growth to a scientific process, where values are hypotheses and actions are experiments. He advises being ready to discard any hypothesis that the data doesn't support, promoting continuous growth and happiness. Further in the chapter, Mark argues that our self-concept can limit our growth. Success and failure challenge our identity, and sometimes we reject opportunities that require us to change our self-perceptions. Buddhism teaches that letting go of our concept of self frees us to grow and try new things. To develop a healthy sense of doubt, Manson suggests asking 3 questions. 1. Could I be wrong? 2. If I am wrong, what does that mean? 3. Would changing my position improve or worsen this situation? These questions encourage humility and open-mindedness, helping us to evaluate and possibly change our values and beliefs. He ends the chapter with this key point on differing opinions. If your opinion differs significantly from everyone else's, it's likely you who might be wrong. Feeling like you're battling the world often means you're battling your own mistakes and poor values. This perspective invites self-reflection and promotes personal growth. Then, he moves on to give us a plan for success in 2 words: do something. Here's what he means by that. This chapter is all about the importance of embracing failure as a pathway to success. The author explains that improvement results from many small failures, and someone skilled in a particular area likely has experienced more failures than those less skilled. Our fear of failure often stems from having values that depend too much on others' opinions or actions. Constructive values should be more self-reliant, focusing on aspects like building good relationships, which don't hinge on others' approval. Ryan Holiday, in Ego is the Enemy, suggests that our ego makes failure feel like a personal attack. To combat this, Holiday recommends using dead time productively and viewing setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning. Manson moves on to argue that pain and suffering, including the discomfort of struggle and failure, are necessary for growth. They reveal areas needing change and build resilience and compassion. Regarding change, Manson's advice is straightforward: just do it. He points out that the hesitation often comes from knowing there will be pain involved, but emphasizes that pain is just a temporary distraction. Manson suggests viewing motivation as a loop rather than a linear process. Action can lead to inspiration and motivation, rather than waiting for inspiration to act. Simply starting a task can often lead to the motivation to complete it. To overcome this fear of failure, Mark advises setting a low initial goal like just do something. This approach reduces the fear of failure since any action is seen as progress, encouraging further efforts and learning from mistakes. The Harvard Business Review supports this, noting that even minimal progress on something meaningful is a powerful motivator. On the same note, this next chapter goes against the common advice up there about positivity and rejection. This author challenges the common belief that we should always be positive and accept everything. Manson argues for the importance of practicing rejection, saying no to things that don't align with our values or contribute to our goals. This approach is about prioritizing what truly matters, which leads to a more meaningful life. He suggests that having fewer options can lead to greater happiness, an idea supported by the paradox of choice. When overwhelmed with options, we often struggle to make decisions, worrying about missed opportunities. He encourages focusing on experiences and people that bring the most satisfaction and saying no to the rest. To find what to commit to, Manson suggests making a list of options, categorizing them, and then choosing the most compelling ones. This process involves listening to instincts and feelings, which are often neglected in decision-making. Manson proceeds by stating that he views rejection as essential in both personal development and relationship building. It involves being comfortable with saying no and hearing no, fostering honesty and openness in relationships. In love relationships, the inability to practice rejection can lead to unhealthy dynamics. Partners should have clear boundaries and take responsibility for their own problems, not their partners. Mark thinks trust in relationships is built through honesty and managing conflicts effectively. He advocates for open communication, understanding each other's apology languages, and addressing conflicts constructively. When trust is broken, such as in cases of cheating, repairing the relationship requires acknowledging the underlying issues, choosing the relationship over conflicting values, and demonstrating improved behavior over time. Repeated breaches of trust may irreparably damage the relationship. And to leave the best for last, Mark dares to speak about death and how looking at it from a certain angle can help make you happy. In the last chapter of the book, Manson highlights the significance of death in giving meaning to our lives and shaping our values. By accepting mortality, we are encouraged to adopt more selfless and meaningful values, focusing on things greater than ourselves. Death serves as a measure of our lives, providing perspective. Without it, our lives and values lose their significance. This awareness urges us to discard superficial values and contemplate our impact on the world. Understanding the shortness of life should inspire us to focus on what truly matters. Instead of striving for immortality or fame, which ultimately have no benefit after death, Manson advises concentrating on making a positive impact and adopting constructive values. Recognizing the finitude of time and the limited number of concerns we can genuinely invest in, Manson encourages prioritizing wisely. Our primary concern should be the impact we can have through our actions and values, rather than unattainable immortality or posthumous recognition. The author then jumps to discussing entitlement versus selfless values. Our culture often encourages a sense of entitlement, focusing on self-centered perspectives. Manson suggests shifting this focus towards selfless values, like contributing to something beyond oneself, which leads to true fulfillment. In essence, Manson's perspective on death and values encourages a shift from self-centered goals and fears towards a life lived with purpose, impact, and meaningful connections. This approach helps in overcoming the fear of death and leads to a more fulfilling existence. If you have watched this far, thank you. This book is a bestseller for a reason. It's useful for this modern lost generation, And it's written by someone from this generation who was lost too. Who would have thought that a blogger could produce this critically acclaimed masterpiece? Even the book was originally just a blog post. Crazy, right? My best take from it is the "don't try to be happy" advice and the self-accountability for everything. I would love to know your best takes from it in the comments. If you found this summary helpful, check out my other video summaries for more life-changing books. Thanks for watching.